Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're having a look at the diminutive N300 from Acer. This little pocket PC is running Windows Mobile 5, but today's video is being done with a bit of a difference. The whole world appears to have gone AI crazy, so I thought I would attempt to write a video using an AI, namely Copilot, which I believe is ChatGPT. Before we get started though, we have a new channel member, Sarah the Strangish, so a massive shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the channel, it's much appreciated, and I look forward to seeing your comments in the newly released members video. If you are interested in becoming a member, there's a little link to a video just here. Have a look, see if it's for you. So what I didn't want to do with Copilot is give it all the answers. Instead, I wanted to see what it would just come up with on its own. So I simply asked it, can you write a YouTube review of the Acer N300? And this is what it came up with. So what I do love about this is that some instructions are included, like upbeat music, or host on screen, or cut to close-up. There are a few things it has got wrong, most notably in this first draft, the screen resolution, which it says is quarter VGA. Most pocket PCs prior are quarter VGA, but this one is full VGA. But as you'll see, it does correct that when I ask a few more details. Now the question I asked was actually prompted by Copilot itself. So I asked it what other features the N300 has, and it scoured the web and came up with these spec sheets. As you can see, the screen resolution has now been corrected. There are some other issues, minor and otherwise, that we will look at once we've seen the review itself. So finally, I asked, can you include this in the review? Also, could you add some information on the built-in apps, please? And here's the video it came up with. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a blast from the past, the Acer N300 Pocket PC. This little device was quite the powerhouse back in the mid-2000s. So let's see how it holds up today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bells for more tech reviews. The Acer N300 was released in 2005 and was part of Acer's N series of PDAs. It runs on Windows Mobile 5 and is powered by a 300 MHz processor. While that might sound slow by today's standards, it was quite capable for its time. First off, let's talk about the design. The N300 has a sleek and compact design, making it easy to carry around. It features a 3.7-inch screen with a resolution of 640 by 480 pixels. The screen itself is bright and clear, although it might feel a little cramped by today's smartphone standards. Navigating through the Windows Mobile 5 interface is a nostalgic experience. The device comes with 64 MB of RAM and 128 MB of internal storage, which can be expanded via an SD card slot. This was quite generous for a PDA at the time. One of the standout features of the N300 is its connectivity options. It includes Bluetooth, which was a big deal back then, allowing you to connect to other devices wirelessly. There's also a USB port for syncing and charging your device. The N300 also has a built-in microphone and speaker, which you can use for voice recording and playback.
The sound quality is surprisingly good for such a small device.
So is the Acer N300 Pocket PC worth it today? Well, if you're a tech enthusiast or a collector of vintage gadgets, it's definitely a cool piece to have. It offers an early glimpse into mobile computing, and it shows how far we've come. For everyday use though, modern smartphones and tablets are far more powerful and versatile. Let's not forget about some of the other features that made the N300 stand out. It had a removable 1200 mAh battery, offering around 7 hours of usage. The device also supported MMC, SD and SDIO expansion cards, which was great for adding extra storage or functionality. It also has a 3.5mm audio jack for headphones, making it a handy media player. The N300 came preloaded with useful apps. It had Pocket Word and Pocket Excel for productivity on the go, Windows Media Player for video playback, and Pocket Internet Explorer for browsing the web. There's also a calendar, contacts, tasks, and note app to help you stay organized. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, give the video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments the other vintage tech you'd like to see reviewed. Until next time, stay tech savvy. So that's the video done verbatim as Copilot wrote it for me. As you'll see, I struggled to stick to the script, and that's definitely shown by the fact that I've had to make so many jump cuts. Feel free to pause the video here. I'd like to know your comments on that video before I go into my own thoughts on it. Welcome back. So for the most part, the technical things are correct, but the nuance of a review is completely missing. So let's look at the memory first of all. So it says that the N300 has 64 megabytes of RAM, and this is true. However, you can only access about 52 megs of RAM, and that isn't a lot of RAM given that the previous generation often had 128 megs. Copilot later says that this is a powerful little device, but it's not. 64 meg of RAM is the minimum for Windows Mobile 5. Copilot does exactly the same thing with storage. It says you have 128 megabytes of storage, when in reality that flash storage is mainly used to store the ROM, and you get access to 21.7 megabytes. Again, that's the minimum spec for Windows Mobile 5. It does have a 300 megahertz CPU, and it's reasonable. I wouldn't say it was snappy. And in fact, again, in the previous generation, we looked at the Pocket Lux not long since, that's got a 525 megahertz CPU. And the Dell 51V has a 625 megahertz CPU. So a 300 megahertz CPU is probably just the minimum spec for Windows Mobile 5. Copilot tells us helpfully that there is a USB port for charging and syncing. And while that is true, one end of it is a completely proprietary slot. So if you don't have that connector, you cannot charge or sync that device. When it comes to software, Copilot tells us that we've got Pocket Word and Pocket Excel for mobile productivity. This is sort of true, sort of not. On here, it isn't actually Pocket Word and Pocket Excel. In fact, Windows Mobile 5 is the first version of Windows CE to have Windows and Excel mobile. The big advantage of this is there's no conversion when you go back and forth from your computer. So this will open a native doc or XLS file, and you can use most of the functions, not all of them, but most of the functions from Word and Excel on here will display properly, can be altered, and then can be sent back to the computer with no conversion in between. Quite a big upgrade really on Pocket Word and Pocket Excel. The rest of the review is vague. And I think that's the feeling I get with most of the AI things that I come across, is that it's always vague. There's very little in the way of nitty-gritty and very little in the way of detail when it comes to AI written subjects. At the beginning of the video, Copilot tells us that it's going to compare the N300 to a modern device. So later in the video, it tells us you might want one of these if you collect vintage PDAs, because it's a great one to add to your collection, and maybe it is. It then goes to compare it to modern devices by saying that they're just a lot more capable. And other than saying that the 3.7-inch screen might seem cramped compared to a modern phone, there are no comparisons in this video at all to modern devices. Maybe I'm nitpicking here, but if you were watching this video because you were thinking of getting the N300 and it's not a bad PDA to get, then there's a few things you might want to be aware of. The first is, there's no infrared port on this. From Windows Mobile 5, while the infrared software is still on here, most devices drop infrared ports for Bluetooth instead. And while the review says that the screen is sharp and bright, yes, it's sharp, it's a high resolution screen, and yes, it is an extremely bright Pocket PC screen, so it is actually very bright. The one thing that it doesn't mention is the viewing angles, which are shocking. So if you're wanting good colour rendition, this is not the screen for you. It's also not ideal for reading ebooks because much twisting and the colours all distort. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed this video, don't do either of those two things, but perhaps put a comment below as to what you didn't like. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts on the current state of AI, whether you're actually using it, whether you think it serves a purpose, or whether you think at the moment at least it's just a bit of a fad. As for me, I don't think I'll be using AI to write any videos in the future as it's not proved too successful in my mind. A huge thanks goes to everyone who supports the channel, and especially to those channel members who are directly supporting the channel, and I look forward to seeing your responses to the upcoming content poll. As always, my name's Hugh, this is Handheld Computing, thanks for watching, stay tech savvy.